Oh, Cardano, you're at it again. In this video, guys, we're going to be talking all about Cardano, and there's a few things that I think are probably worth noting and things that are probably worth talking a little bit about, and what they might mean to the price action of ADA. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you have not yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? And if you are looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out the Patreon services as well? We offer a lot more for our Patreon members via the Discord server. Everything from buying, selling, staking alerts that Chris and myself are up to, through to project reviews, AMAs twice weekly, a little bit of trading here and there, and a whole host of additional benefits as well. So why not check that out if that sounds of interest to you? We're also running several different competitions down in the Discord server with some of our partners such as Bybit and BitGet and various other things that are worth probably checking out. A lot of the information is in the description down below, but a lot more is found in the Discord server. Okay. Let's make a start. Let's talk about what is going on when it comes to Cardano. And what we're going to do is we're going to start things off with this to start with. I think this is actually a good starting position for what I want to talk about today, okay, Cardano. So basically, Cardano rises 75% as activity skyrockets. ADA's now a top 3 NFT platform, and we're going to talk a little bit around what that is and what that means and what this might mean long term for Cardano, because in this bear market, as kind of indicated in this article, I'll read snippets of it and I won't read the entire thing. I'll try and link this in the description below if you're interested in the entire article, but there's some interesting kind of things that are spoken about in here, and then I've got my own data which we'll reflect on, because we don't just like to take people's word for things. You should do your own research, right? So I've got my own data to kind of fall back on as well. So we'll go through this. Right? Let's start things off, right? So Cardano's ecosystem has a rich set of DeFi developers, investors, community, and online presence, which is a bit of a no-brainer, really. And we talk about this a fair amount on the channel. And essentially, it comes down to kind of marketing, right? Now, you can love Cardano, you can hate Cardano, but it's got a fantastic community because there's people who are actually involved in Cardano, actually kind of leading from the front. They are right there talking about the things that they're doing practically every single day. And you kind of think about that kind of approach that Charles Hoskinson has to his YouTube channel and kind of the way he goes on other people's channels. So he gets all these kind of news out there, right? And people are actively talking and getting involved, right? And mirror that across to other platforms where you don't see that kind of level of devotion and that kind of presence in the space, right? It's missing, and that's one of the things that I think has really helped Cardano really push further forward, right? You've had that kind of person at the front who's willing to be the face of it and is willing to communicate with everybody. And it's hard work. It's not easy to be as active as that, right? And take from our point of view, right? For the last 2 years, we've done videos every single day. To kind of keep up with that level of momentum is incredibly difficult. It's not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. So hats off to Charles Hoskinson for not only being able to, be the CEO of multiple companies, but, also running and being the face of Cardano, keeping people in the loop of what is going on, because that in itself is what brings a lot of that community in, that therefore brings investors in, and of course that will help bring in the developers as well, specifically when you're talking about the technical aspects as well, which obviously Charles Hoskinson does quite well. So obviously it's a bit of a no-brainer. Now, when it comes to the Cardano network, it has a total value locked of about $11.68 million. Whereby Sunday Swap, ADAX Pro, and MinoSwap lead about $10.9 million. Okay, so it's interesting. There's a few interesting things there. That's just top line. Let's get into this though, right? So apparently, and I don't like to quote this so much, but apparently the network is flexing its blockchain powers amid a months-long bear market. Well, the bear market is a bear market, right? we talk about this thing with Bitcoin and Ethereum pretty much every single day on our Twitch streams. And so again, that's not anything that's unusual, right? The main thing here that I think that the takeaway of what they're trying to get at is that actually it's holding up incredibly well. But let's face it, it's still come down very significantly, right, in terms of the price of ADA. This is what happens in a bear market. A bear market and the price action is solely divided or derived, sorry if I can get my words out, from the fact that the demand is lower than the supply, right? So if the supply is high and the demand is low, the price will go down. And when the demand is high and the supply is low, the price goes up, right? It's so simple, and people want to overcomplicate things, but it's as simple as that, right? Supply and demand dictate price movement. So when the demand comes out during this bear market, the price comes down. And this is a fantastic opportunity for new investors to kind of come in, dollar cost average and all that kind of usual stuff that we talk about. So I'm not sure it's really flexing their powers, but nonetheless, they've done incredibly well in this bear market. They've been developing, and this is what you do. You build, right? And all that kind of stuff. So, and keep your community engaged, right, during the bear market. Let's move on, right? There's a whole set of tweets and things that have been going out recently, kind of, indicating the kind of stuff that's been going on with Cardano. That's kind of the point of this article. Now, we can see the NFT volume hits 3 million and the 2.8 million ADA on the 17th and 18th of October, basically solidifying Cardano as the third largest NFT protocol, which is absolutely massive, right? Now, we know that NFTs are massive on Cardano. It's why we want to be building on Cardano with our NFTs project, right? In terms of the proof of style avatar clothing range and the physical clothing range that we're building out here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗂𝗪𝗏, right? Which is why we've partnered up with 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗂𝗪𝗏𝗧 to build that apparel in game with those guys. It's also why we're doing things on some other chains as well, such as Polygon with Decentraland and a few others that we're looking at as well in the background. So Cardano was always our first choice, and it's our first choice because we think that ecosystem has got some fantastic future ahead of it, and this basically solidifies our choices in building on the Cardano ecosystem as well. Being the third largest NFT protocol, and I think that's going to grow over time. And there's still a lot of hate out there for Cardano, and eventually that will dissipate, and not completely because that's impossible in this space, and not until people start to realize this isn't about tribalism and things like that. Actually, we can work collaboratively together. One might have something that is better than another, and we can kind of incorporate those things together. But essentially here, what I'm saying is it's fantastic to see Cardano finally getting those kind of levels of recognition as it kind of progresses through some of these steps. The network transactions on the 19th hit 97,959, up 75% month on month, so pretty good metrics there as well. And what we're going to do is we're not going to go into too much more detail on that. We're going to come down to a little bit lower in the chart of this article here, just a fraction. And there's a couple of things here that I don't necessarily agree with the terminology of what's being used. I guess they're trying to spin it as a positive, but the way that they're wording it is also kind of passive aggressive. So the Cardano network has shown its resilience by surviving this long. I just think that's a really shitty way of saying it's survived a bear market, which, well, to be fair, Shiba Inu has survived the bear market. So, I mean, what are you saying? Let's think about it, right? This isn't exactly resilience for surviving this long. It's a kind of a no-brainer that it survived this long because it's built up on fundamentals and it isn't built up on shit. But then digress. There's a few things I disagree with the article, but that then kind of brings me on to maybe we should actually take a look at some of my data for Cardano and then actually jump down into kind of the charts and the price action, see what's been going on there, because it has been rallying up a little bit in the last 24 hours or so. So let's go ahead and bring up, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's try. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, 1 second, I'm just going to pull this up. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay. So up here, we have some key metric pieces of data for Cardano, right? So we've got $11.88 billion market cap, at least at the point of me pulling this data this morning. This is a manual data pull that I have to do. I haven't been able to automate it yet, but so basically about approximately 8 o'clock this morning. So this is probably 13 hours later than when this video goes out. We then have liquidity, or liquid market cap, sorry, 11.29. And the differences are here, what's been locked up and what hasn't been locked up and all those kind of things. We have realized market cap at 21.19 billion. This is basically a market cap that is derived from the price that ADA last moved, okay, multiplied by the supply. And not just your current price multiplied by supply. Now, obviously, market cap is a bad metric anyway. We know this. It only shows us price level, doesn't show us value, doesn't show us liquidity. But people like to rank things. So for most businesses using market cap, like if you're in the stock market, it's not too bad. But here in the crypto space, where you have extreme volatility and ways that you can actually manipulate the market cap, reasonably quickly by changing your supply and things like that, and changing your liquidity, you could essentially make a market cap look really good or really bad, all depending on what your goals and aspirations are. So these aren't things that I hang my hat on, but they're good numbers to kind of keep an eye on nonetheless. And a lot of people mistakenly say, oh, how can Cardano have a market cap of X? That's too much value. It's not worth that. Well, it doesn't show you the value. It only shows you the macro level pricing. And just to understand this in the most simplest way possible, what we can do is we can say, okay, our supply is X and our price is Y, and therefore when we multiply those two things together we get Z. So Z here, being the market cap, can only ever represent what the price represents, right? And therefore price dictates market cap. Market cap does not dictate price. Okay, so you can't look at market cap and assume that your market cap is going to be a barrier to price discovery. Instead, your price is going to dictate your market cap. There is no other way of looking at it. Your market cap cannot be a barrier to price, okay? And that's because it's such a simple and basic and pretty much pointless calculation. That being said, it is what it is. People use it, and it kind of tricks a lot of retail investors. Let's move on, and then let's go into some of this other data, right? In the last 24 hours, we've seen $3.33 billion in transaction volume on Cardano. And the trading volume across the top 10 exchanges is $94.41 million. So what does this tell us? This tells us a lot, actually. It tells us that Cardano is moving around a fair amount, right? In terms of the actual transaction volume, in terms of USD, right? There's a lot of volume going across the chain, and it's not really being driven from trading, which is really, really interesting. Now, we've got market dominance on all of crypto at 1.28%, so interesting to see how that's going to change over time. And we've got active addresses in the last 24 hours of 69.58 thousand. The blocks produced, now I find this one of the most remarkable things to kind of keep an eye on. Cardano in the last 24 hours produced 4,300 blocks, and the cost for producing the 4,300 blocks was $10,720 approximately. There's going to be a little bit of fluctuation in there, but you kind of get the idea. Okay, so we produced just over 4,000 blocks at just over $10,000. Now, why do I think these things are interesting? These things are interesting because, of course, I have this data for Ethereum, right? You can kind of get the idea of where this is going. If we take a look at Ethereum here, we produced 7,000 blocks at a cost of $4.87 million. Okay, so we understand that, Cardano might not be the cheapest, right? But it's a significant upgrade on Ethereum, right? And I mean, significant. I mean, it's the 7,000 blocks for $4.87 million. Cardano, 4,000 blocks at $10,000. So not the cheapest, because there are cheaper ones out there. We can't sugarcoat that. But by all stretches of the imagination, this becomes, so much more appealing to businesses, right? So if you're looking at building a business and you're looking at building a dApp, whether this is a DeFi application or maybe you're looking at maybe doing some kind of NFT fractionalized real estate business and you need to create a dApp, you got the choices, right? You could potentially go to Ethereum and pay those stupid fees, or worse, want to pass those fees on to your clients, because that's going to be a good business model, sarcasm included, of course. Or you can look at Cardano here and say, I can produce this many blocks and it costs me a fraction of the cost. I can swallow the cost, give a better customer experience for my clients, and, it's faster, more secure, and all that usual stuff. So for the most part, I think it's kind of winning from some of these metrics. Now, to take a look at it from a logical point of view, not the illogical retail investor who just wants to go to the moon kind of perspective, but nonetheless, an interesting kind of set of metrics. Now, when I pulled the data this morning, we're rocking a 35-cent price. All-time high was 310, meaning we're 85.28% from the all-time high. Now, That's an interesting set of metrics, and obviously things are going to change a bit because I don't think this bear market is over yet. We've still got some progression to the downside. And on that note, we should probably actually go ahead and spend some time taking a look at the price action of Cardano, what we think is going to happen next. Now, I am recording this about 13 hours in advance, so we'll see how this kind of goes in terms of price action, but I do think we're on the right track here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the price action, okay? So for anyone who is not familiar, we look at Elliott wave theory on the chart to kind of give us our market structure, and then we can layer on a few other techniques to help us understand if we want to trade, where the entries and exits should be, and all those kind of wonderful things. Now, for the most part, we did some fantastic longs on Cardano yesterday for the community. This is a bit of a no-brainer because we're tracking a 5-wave structural move to the downside, where essentially we are came right into our zone, and we were able to basically sniper entry and then just rock it, which was actually fantastic. Right now, for the structure of this thing, what we actually are looking at is a little bit of a progression to the upside. We're looking at a pretty decent move upwards. Okay, this move upwards would be approximately 39.89 cent. That's going to be where we're kind of roughly going to finish. Now, bearing in mind this area here, this is just a typical wave 4 structure. Okay, we can be short of this, we can go higher than this. This is just where we would typically see a wave 4. So internally, we want to watch the structure and get an idea of where the wave counts are occurring on the inside here, okay? But for now, that kind of gives us a bit of a ballpark figure as to where we're heading. And with that being said, we've been doing some pretty good trading so far, and we're progressing quite nicely towards this target. Now, once complete though, we are going to be dropping down into the final 5th wave here, of which I think is a wave 3. So this bear market is not over. Now, just to clarify, because bear markets can sometimes be confusing for some, the bear market bottom clearly wasn't in, because Cardano went ahead and did a new local low, or a new lower low in this bear market. Now, that hasn't happened yet for Bitcoin. It may not happen for Bitcoin, that's fine. But you cannot blindly say the bottom is in for crypto when there's over 21,000 coins or tokens. So in the case of Cardano here, clearly the bottom wasn't in. And we can go ahead and now analyze where we think things are going. Not that this has actually changed for me, because I've already had this mapped out for quite some time. Nonetheless, we've been calling out 28 to 34 cent for quite a significant period, and that's pretty much where this wave 3 appears to want to end. Okay, so we come into this little range down here, typically, of course, just based on where wave 4 could potentially go, where wave 5 might end up going after. 29 to 31 cent before we rally up into a second 4th wave move upwards. Again, this is potentially going to trap quite a few people who don't fully understand Elliott wave theory, and for that, join us down in Discord. We actually have a PDF that's 181 pages that will help you understand Elliott wave theory. And on that note, I am working on a video course that will basically prevent you having to read 181 pages, and I can just explain it to you in video content. I'm working on that, and that will be out shortly. Until then, I'm not actually doing any kind of training with any individuals. At the moment, this is literally just working on video course material, and then that will be available for people to learn from. So I've kind of paused any kind of one-to-one training at the moment. That being said, we can of course acknowledge that after this 4th wave move upwards, we will be pulling down lower, and that there is where we think the bear market bottom will be. And of course, if anyone's an OG of the channel, you'll know that we've been talking about 22.23 being this Y level here for months, and that is actually kind of on track with the structure as I see it at the moment. Things can change, of course, but it's good to finally see a way down there. So do expect a few areas of movement to the upside and all that wonderful stuff. There's a lot of volatility to be expected, but we'll actually cover a lot more of the detail of the technical analysis on the hourly chart, for example, pretty much daily in the Discord server for our Patreon members, but occasionally here on the YouTube channel as well. So just bear in mind, guys, that yes, the metrics are fantastic for Cardano. We're moving up quite nicely. But the bear market bottom, I don't think, is in yet for Cardano's ADA. I do think we're going to be moving up, though, before we can continue to move down. You can't just move in straight lines. You do have to have these relief rallies. And basically, we'll call off again and we'll pull back down. We'll hit some new lower lows in this bear market. And then eventually, once we complete the structure of the market, we'll be able to reverse back up. And hopefully, we'll see an increase in demand. And that will help build out the future of Cardano in the next bull run. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.